Let's have a conversation.
What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? My name is Mark. If you don't know, this is my channel, Music and Mental Health. Now, I'm back here to talk about a topic that is important to a lot of people and was and still is to a lesser extent important to me, but it's something that I wanted to talk about. But before I start, please make sure, if you have not yet, to like, comment, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell. I'm going to be getting to more of these mental health topics on this channel. A reminder, super chats are always appreciated. And also, in addition to the super chats, you can shoot me a donation if you would like. If my content resonates with you, if it does something to help you or you enjoy it, the answer question requires me to go backwards. Hold on 1 second. Okay, I think that should solve the problem. To answer this question requires me to go back to the time in my life when nobody knew that I had any kind of mental illness, when I was first diagnosed. So for me, it started off with panic attacks. And I didn't even think that was connected to mental health at all. I thought it was some kind of a physical problem. I went to a general physician for that. The general physician basically told me, no big deal, take this Xanax, you'll be good. I took the Xanax, it helped me temporarily and for a temporary amount of time. And eventually, it became general anxiety disorder, panic disorder, agoraphobia, and clinical depression. And because this was not something that is easily seen, easily recognized, or easily explained or accepted, especially at that time, which was about 12 years ago, things are a little bit different now. Things are quite a bit different now, as a matter of fact. People talk about having a therapist in general conversation, and nobody really bats an eyelash. But at that time in 2011, things were very, very different in this world. So I remember I was seeing my psychotherapist, and I told them, I said, it's so hard for me to pretend that I don't have a mental illness when I'm around my friends or family, or when I'm talking to my friends or family, because this is something that I face for real. Whether I act like I'm facing it or whether I don't act like I'm facing it, it's still there. It's still with me all the time to some degree. So I said, it's getting very hard for me to live these two lives, this life where I'm in therapy and I'm talking about all my different problems and I'm struggling. And then when I go home, I'm kind of struggling. But then if I go out and hang out with friends or meet up with family or friends, I just kind of suffer in silence because I'm embarrassed to tell them and I don't know how they're going to react. So I had this very close friend at that time. We are not close friends anymore, but we were very close friends at that time. And I spoke to the therapist and I said, I would like to tell this person, but I don't know how and I don't know what the reaction might be. So the therapist laid out the pros and the cons. They were like, okay, if you feel like you have to use your discernment to figure out whether you think that it's worth the risk of telling this person. And I said, the risk of what? They said, the risk of how the person might receive being given this big and important piece of information that you haven't told anybody. Because anyone can react any kind of way. Some people might not be able to handle hearing that. Some people might just be ignorant to it. They've never really encountered somebody who has told them, I'm facing these mental health challenges. And some people might just be turned off altogether to where they don't want to be your friend anymore. And I thought, that's not an option with my friend. My friend is going to be my friend no matter whether I tell them or not. And a matter of fact, telling them is probably going to strengthen our friendship. That was my feeling. So I remember I told them, I have something that I want to share with you. I have something that I want to talk to you about. I made sure that we were in a private place to have this discussion. I laid it all out. I said, this year, this happened to me at this point in time. I was diagnosed with this. I was given these pills. I had this experience. I went to a day treatment program, this, that, and the other. I just told them everything. And they were looking at me, and I was like, something on my face? What's going on? And the person told me, I wish you had told me that earlier. I'm so proud of you for telling me that and for seeking help, um, getting treatment, and look at where you are now and what you're doing. I'm so impressed by that. And I have so much respect and admiration for you. And thank you so much for sharing that with me. That even strengthens and deepens our relationship. Right? So in my mind, I went as good as it could possibly go. Went back to the therapist for my therapy session the next week. And I told the therapist, I told this person everything, all the details about my mental illness. This is what they said, this, and this. And I am so happy about the end results. And the therapist is like, well, I'm so glad that you did what you felt like you needed to do with that person and that they responded favorably. So I thought that was the end of that. At a later time, we had an argument. I'm not going to go over the details of the argument aside from to say unrelated to anything with the mental health. I told this person something that was private, confidential. We were having a private conversation amongst friends. And one of the people that we were discussing in that conversation, they went and told the person what I said. That person came to me. Why did you say such and such and such? And I'm like, there's only one person that I spoke to about this. And it wasn't just that I was talking about them. They brought that person up. And I was agreeing with something that they said. I might have added my own little thing to it, but the point is, it was a two-person conversation. They, for some reason, felt like it was necessary to speak to that person about my part of what I said. And I got confronted. So I go back to original friend and I say, why would you repeat what I said to this person when we were talking, you and me? It was an A and B conversation. They said, you're my friend, they're my friend. And I'm like, but it wasn't even me who had the initial complaint. Anyways, because I'm not giving you guys like too much context with that, I'm not even going to focus on the story that much. I'm just going to say I was mad that they had used my name in this conversation with this other person. And when I came to ask them why they would do that and I was upset, the response was nonchalant and like it wasn't a big deal. But one, you broke my trust by repeating this information. And two, now that other person is mad at me and thinks that I have some kind of beef with them or something, right? So there's two reasons why that was upsetting to me. So I was like, no, I'm upset. I don't care if you say you're being sensitive or whatever you say. I am upset and I have a good reason to be upset. It's okay, MC. I just started 11, 12 minutes ago. So I said, I have a good reason to be upset. And the conversation kind of escalated. And then that person told me, are you okay? So what do you mean, am I okay? No, seriously, like, is your mental health okay? Like, did you take your bipolar meds today? I could not believe that that was just said to me by this person who was the only person that I had ever disclosed my mental illness to at that point in time in my life. It was sacred at that point in time. I mean, aside from my parents who knew because I was living with them, but aside from that, outside of my family, outside of the people that were actually like living with me, I had not told anybody that. And I'm not even bipolar. That was just a dig at mental illness in general because I wasn't on meds at that time and I'm not bipolar. Not that that makes a difference, but I'm just saying that's how disrespectful it was. It wasn't even my thing that I said. It was just like, oh yeah, you're mad because you're crazy. That's basically what they were telling me. And I spazzed on that person badly. That triggered me so highly that, the conversation that was had afterwards was just, I said a lot of things and then I left and then that was that. So me being who I am, I actually felt bad and it was so early on after getting that diagnosis of anxiety disorder and depression and all that. And I said, was it mental illness that made me get triggered like that or yell or be that angry? Because I don't like yelling at people and I don't like getting out of character and being angry. I'm not like an angry person or anything like that. So I felt bad about it. So I went back to my therapist. I presented that problem to my therapist. They asked me all the details. I gave my therapist all the details. My therapist was like, basically, your friend is an a-hole. I was like, really? I mean, they didn't say it in those exact words, but they basically said that. And they said, with all of those circumstances that you just gave me, what they said, what you said, what they did, I would be angry too. But the therapist said, once you tell somebody about your mental illness, it can and it will shift their perception of who that you are for better or worse, consciously or subconsciously, right? So they were like, the response about did you take your bipolar meds? Unacceptable. But in your case, don't beat yourself up for having that reaction of yelling and this like that's human. That has nothing to do with your mental illness at all. They validated that for me, like your angered response has nothing to do with mental illness. But what they also said, just know that that person has been looking at you differently in a negative way from the time that you disclosed about your mental illness. And it was like, that's not to say you shouldn't have disclosed, but now that is somebody that you know you can't have in your inner circle like that anymore. This is not somebody who is really a close friend, because they wouldn't say something like that. That's just wrong. So they were like, if you want to keep interacting with this person at all, a long time ago, yes, it was a friend of mine a long time ago. Um, so it's like, if you want to keep interacting with this person in any capacity, keep it light and keep it moving. Weather, sports, entertainment, it is what it is. And that was so hard for me to accept, because at that time, this was somebody, like I said, very close to me, and the only person outside of my own family that I had disclosed to about mental illness. So I know this is kind of a roundabout way of answering the question, but this is the way how I do my presentations. I do presentations about mental health topics. And I always use personal stories and anecdotes to tie in my points. This question that I posed at the beginning of this live is not a yes or no question. It's not, should you disclose yes or no? Anybody who has asked me, because I have had so many friends listen to all the things that I say and post and say, I have this too, Mark, but I'm not brave like you to tell everybody. I don't think everyone is meant to be a counselor and tell large masses of people, this is my diagnosis and this is what I go through and what I experience. But I think that we all need to tell somebody. You need to have people in your inner circle, your close, tight inner circle, who understand you, who support you, and who help make it through. Because I feel it hurts you to your core, and I'm saying this from experience. I feel like it hurts you to your core having to pretend to be something that you're not, or having to pretend like you're okay when you don't feel okay, and not having any outlet, or not having any person to tell when you're not feeling like yourself, or when you need a little break from people, or when you need some kind of recuperation from whatever is going on. But just like the therapist told me, you have to use some discernment. Do I think that this is somebody who can handle what I have to say? And even if I do think that this is somebody who can handle what I have to say, am I willing to lose this person if they can't? Which of these two options is more appealing to me? Option A, keeping things as is, where I don't even talk to them about mental illness at all. I don't have one. I don't even go over the topic in any kind of a way, and feeling like I'm holding a part of myself from them that I cannot share. Versus, I could tell them and it could go a variety of ways. We could grow a stronger bond where that person now checks in with me, understands me very well. I can share the inner parts of myself. Or that same person who you thought would be able to do those things for you is either scared away, or they view you differently, or they might look down on you, and your friendship, your relationship might never be the same. So it's something that you have to answer with each individual person in your life. You have to weigh the pros and the cons of what that disclosure would mean. Now, I am going to end this just by saying I am pro disclosure for those who you feel are the tightest ones in your circle. I am pro disclosure. Just think of your how, think of when you're going to do it. If you need, talk to somebody before you do it. If you see a therapist is a great person to bounce that off of because they are the one who actually gave me somewhat of a run through and a transcript in a way of what I should say, what to expect. But you can get it in a book. You can look online. My video might help you somewhat. But be prepared. The key thing that I want to say to end this is to be prepared if you do decide to disclose, be prepared for any reaction that you might get. And don't feel like, oh, I shouldn't have said that to them because they reacted this way or they said this thing, because that's how I felt for a while. I said our friendship could have been everything that it was if I had just not mentioned it. But there were so many times where it was impacting me and I wasn't able to explain how because I didn't mention it to them. So it was a net gain overall. Yes, it's sad. It's sad to lose somebody that you think is really, really there for you, ride or die. But it's more sad, I think, to keep somebody there who you have to keep compartmentalize that part of you and not really feel like you can be open. So I hope this video helped somebody. As always, thank you for your support. Please make sure to like, comment, subscribe, share this video, and hit the notification bell because I will be coming on here more often with mental health topics. I'm going to try for at least once a week, and it's going to be more than that once the Big Brother season is over and I have more time for that. So I hope everyone has a wonderful night. And if you would like to join me on my other channel, the channel is called Mindful Reality. Make sure to spell the TEA. I'm going to hop over there in the next 2 minutes for a quick one, and then I'm going to take a break. Talk to y'all later.